I've been singing my sorrows since I was 9 years old, standing in an empty church pew in the cold. Grandmother's hands on my shoulders, telling me to hold. But some burdens, baby, they just get too heavy to hold. There's a broken mirror in my bedroom, showing half my face. Red lipstick on the corner from some other place. Empty bottle on the kitchen table, 3 a.m. again, and the gospel choir's fading out like it was never meant to begin. I sang through the leaving, I sang through the rain, I sang through the hands that held me, then broke me again. But tonight this old voice got nothing left to say, so I'm laying down this music before it carries me away. This is the last blues I'll sing over a man who gave me nothing, over a loss that took everything. I'm putting down the heartache, setting fire to the pain. This is the last blues I'll sing, and Lord, I won't sing it again. I remember Mama's eyes the morning she went still, 9 years old and standing on that Memphis windowsill, watching rain come down on streets that didn't care about a little girl with nobody left to hold her there. I survived his hands, survived his hollow lies, survived every cold Memphis morning, every crying sunrise. Cotton fields been burning underneath that Tennessee sky, long enough for one woman to finally ask the Lord why. I sang through the darkness, sang through the darkness, I sang through the shame, I sang when the only witness was a candle and the flame. But tonight my hands are steady and my eyes are finally dry, so I'm singing this last one slowly, then I'm telling the blues goodbye. This is the last blues I'll sing over a church that couldn't save me, over a heart that learned to sting. I'm laying down the sorrow that I carry like a cross. This is the last blues I'll sing. Lord, forgive me what it cost. I stood at every crossroads, this broken city knows my name. I gave my voice to the grieving, and the grieving gave me flame. But I'm more than what was done to me, more than every scar. I'm walking out of this darkness now the way I walked in, alone. But this time I know who I are. This is the last blues I'll sing, not because the pain is over, but because I'm done bleeding. I'm taking back my Oh, grandmother always said, the Lord gives songs to the suffering, but even the suffering deserves a quiet morning. Someday, someday, no more blues to sing, no more blues to sing, to sing. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Yeah. I found a dress in a garbage bag at the bottom of a closet I stopped opening, folded like a secret nobody asked to keep. Smell like cheap perfume and something already grieving. I held it up against the light, like maybe the light could explain it, but the light just fell right through the way it always does, through thin walls and broken things. My grandmother called my name once from a room that don't exist no more. I was on a stage singing somebody else's sorrow when she crossed that final door. These chains on my heart ain't made of iron, baby. They're made of every Tuesday morning. I believed in something leaving. Chains on my heart, forged in a kitchen where the heels stopped clicking on the linoleum floor, and the silence moved in, and it never left. No, it never left. There's a drawing on the refrigerator, held up by a cross-shaped magnet, child's hand in crayon, two figures standing in the sun. One of them keeps fading. Every time I look, and the lipstick on that glass in the dish rag, I can't wash it. I can't wash it away. It's the last proof something stood there before the Tuesday came. The phone rang once last October, went quiet like it knew. Some calls aren't meant to be answered, some truths are meant to bleed through. These chains on my heart ain't made of iron, baby. They're made of every rainy Memphis sidewalk at 3 in the morning with nowhere to be. Chains on my heart, grown from a Bible with the bus ticket folded between the Testament pages, in a single light burning in a window nobody's coming back to, nobody's coming back. Lord, I sat in the last pew where the organ don't tune right no more, and I asked you what you wanted from a woman who already gave everything everything she had on the floor. I stayed 7 years past, knowing I left one night past too late. Grandmother, I wasn't there on Sunday morning, and that is a chain that heaven can't unlatch. That is a weight, that is a weight. Hey, these chains on my heart, they don't rattle, baby. They just settle in the quiet when the gospel bleeds through someone else's wall at night. Chains on my heart, not asking for mercy, just standing in the truth of everything I survived and lost, with a light I keep leaving on in a window, that I know nobody's coming, but I leave it on. I leave it on. He knows. I left the porch light on, like somebody was coming home. Stood in that kitchen in my grandmother's house, cold, alone. Lipstick on a glass, still sitting in the dish rack by the sink. Lord, I've been trying not to remember, but I can't stop what I think. I folded up that bus ticket, tucked it right beside the word. Figured God and Greyhound was the closest thing to being heard. Oh, the devil knows my name. He learned it in a doorway on a Tuesday in the rain. He knows the sound my knees make when I finally hit the floor. He knew me long before I knew what I was praying for. The devil knows my name. He called it soft and easy, like a man who wants to stay. But God, forgive me, I answered him anyway. There's a drawing on the refrigerator, held up by a cross. A little girl with yellow hair. Lord, I don't know what that cost. The organ in the chapel hasn't held a true note in years, and I've been singing to a room that don't deserve these tears. I wore them high-heel shoes out on the floor that couldn't hold all the weight for the what I carried, all the stories I was told. Grandmama used to call me from the other room, said, baby, come in here before the night swallows you. Now that room is just a room, in the silence got a sound, like a phone that rings exactly once strangers, while my grandmother's hands went cold and white. He knows my name. He wrote it down in something I can't wash away. But I'm still here. I'm still here, singing anyway. Yeah, he knows it. Every crooked letter of it. And still I sing. Still I sing. Still I sing. Found your coffee cup still sitting in the dish rag, lipstick on the rim that wasn't mine. And I stood there on that cold linoleum kitchen floor, holding something that had already stopped being fine. To hear my grandmother calling from the other room. Now that room just holds the quiet like a stone. And I learned everything I know about staying too long from a woman who never once stayed wrong. The floor knows the shape of my surrender better than I know my own spine. But I won't beg anymore. No, I won't beg anymore. I have dragged my pride like a body through the door and laid it down at every altar, every floor. But I won't beg anymore. My mother left on a Tuesday with her good shoes on, left a child's drawing on the refrigerator cross. I spent 30 years trying to love people hard enough so they'd forget they had the option of being lost. Should have. I sang my grandmother into the ground. One Sunday morning I was on that stage, giving somebody else's grief away. And she slipped out quiet, Lord, without a warning. I got down on both knees so long I forgot what standing felt like. Forgot that my own voice in the dark used to be enough to get me through the night. But I won't beg anymore. No, I won't beg anymore. I have got a bus ticket folded in my Bible and my grandmother's voice behind. every door. I won't beg still burning in that window, and nobody is coming back to it. But me, I wore that wedding dress until it turned to garbage. I kept that silence like it was something I deserved to keep. But I can hear the gospel bleeding through the wall tonight, like it did when I was 9 years old. And learning how to pray, and what it's saying now is different from what I heard then. It's saying, baby, put that begging down and walk away. I won't beg anymore. No, I won't beg anymore. I have cried down to the place where the crying becomes music. I have bled down to the place where the bleeding becomes yours. But I won't beg anymore. Lord, I won't beg anymore. He came in smelling like cheap cologne, and certainty pulled out a chair like he already owned the room. I had my grandmother's voice somewhere in the back of my head saying, baby, pretty things that shine like that go dark too soon. But I let him pour, and I let him talk, and I let his words land soft where they had no business landing. There's a child's drawing on my refrigerator cross that should have told me something about men who come in promising. Lord, I knew what it was. I knew it going down. Sweet on the tongue, slow burn all the way to the ground. Sweet poison, honey on the blade. Sweet poison, the prettiest deal the devil ever made. I drank it down like water. Lord, I drank it like I wasn't afraid. Sweet poison, honey on the blade. He had a way of leaving just enough light on in the window, just enough warmth to make the cold feel like a choice. I found his number in my phone one Tuesday morning, one ring, and in the quiet where there used to be his voice. I sang that whole October in a room that wasn't full enough. My high heels on the linoleum, counting out the beat, and somewhere in the second set I understood my grandmother never warned me about poison that tasted this complete. Lord, I knew what it was. I knew it when he stayed. Everything that glitters in the dark is just the dark finding a way. Sweet poison, honey on the blade. Sweet poison, the prettiest deal the devil ever made. I drank it down like gospel. Lord, I drank it unafraid. Sweet poison, honey on the blade. There's a wedding dress in a garbage bag at the bottom of a closet I don't open anymore. There's a lipstick glass still sitting in the dish rack from a mouth that never said what it was for. And on Sunday morning when there's no church left to go to, I sit inside the silence of the thing I chose. And the gospel bleeds right through the wall, the same as always, only now I understand every word of what it knows. It says, baby, you already knew. Baby, you already knew. You just love the taste of something that was never meant to save you. Sweet poison, honey on the blade. Sweet poison, Lord, I make that bed, and in that bed I laid. I drink it down again tonight if I thought it hadn't already been paid. Sweet poison, honey on the blade. Sweet poison, still honey on the blade.